Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs, and the room is stutters. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, cause I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus on what's great. Ladies and gentlemen, Steph Hardy is on the air. Had to drop a couple bars just to make you all aware. So, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. You know I go by Joe or the rest of the flow, yeah.
Hey y'all. Welcome to a new episode of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast with the girl Stephanie Hardy. I know I did say that the show was supposed to start earlier, but I needed to push it back because I needed some quality time with my best friend. Shout out to Cinnamon. I love you so much. I just wanted to talk to her, but before I get started with the show, thank you guys so much for all of your love and all of your support throughout the year because it's December. We have reached the end of the year, guys. What a whirlwind that we have gone through in just this one week in professional wrestling. But of course, I'm here to talk to you about it. So, of course, if you're watching live tonight on any one of the platforms, YouTube, Twitter, anything else, Facebook, any YouTube, all the things. Thank you so much for watching live. And of course, as the conversation continues to go, you can comment and your comments might wind up on there. We have Backstage Brawl watching from X/Twitter saying, hey, thank you so much for watching. And of course, chime in as the subjects continue to go on. So, yeah, this week has been absolutely nuts. And I would not be myself if I did not come before y'all and address everything that's happening. So, of course, we are going to start with blah, blah, blah. What are we going to start with? We're going to start with news and gossipish. And there's something that I wanted to just take some time to highlight a little bit. AJ Francis, Mr. Man, is having a TNA World Championship match up against Nick Nemeth. Now, for those who might not remember who Nick Nemeth is, he was Dolph Ziggler in WWE for a very, very long time. At one point, he was one of the longest tenured wrestlers in WWE before they released him, I believe, last year. But since then, he has been going on an absolute tear throughout the wrestling landscape, even going to TNA and becoming their world champion. So, big shout out to Nick Nemeth for that. And AJ Francis actually has a match against him for the title at Final Resolution next Friday, December 13th. And I think that is just so amazing for someone who was teased endlessly and for someone who, struggled with a lot privately. It's just really good to see people like that get amazing opportunities. I hope that he continues to just grow more and more as a wrestler. As he's in TNA and get more opportunities like this because he was always a really cool big man that I liked in Hit Row with the whole rapping thing. Like I actually liked that. So when they fell apart, I was just like, dang, that's really unfortunate. But I'm just really happy to see everyone from that group doing their own thing now and just sort of revamping themselves to a degree. And AJ Francis is definitely one of those people. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him just to get stuff started. We miss you, Steph. Hope all is well. Yeah, everything is doing fine. And I miss y'all too. I got to get back to New York at some point. But yeah, big ups to AJ Francis. Win or lose, you are a champion. And I am so happy for that. Backstage Brawl is also saying TNA has been a safe haven for stars to get eyes on them. I'm just like, why don't they go to a why don't they go to AEW more often? Well, I don't know. It's just a personal choice. But honestly, TNA is a safe haven for wrestlers. And I do believe it should be talked about on the same level as an AEW because they've just been so good and so substantial for so long and stood the test of time. They deserve more flowers for how they maintain, especially for their knockouts division. So I'm really excited for AJ Francis rising and so many other wrestlers finding their groove over there in TNA and making an impact. See what I did there? Further in news and gossipish, we have Miss Trish Stratus, the WWE Hall of Famer, Toronto's greatest export, and just an all-around beautiful diva, making people's heart beat on social media this week because she was on the cover of a fitness magazine, and the name escapes me right now. But with these viral pictures of her, everybody was just losing their minds because for a woman who is a little bit older than she was when she started out in wrestling and of course, became a champion and all of the above, she still is a smoke show. Miss Ma'am really set the internet on fire with these pictures. So many men were saying, man, Dr. Umar is not even a real doctor because of these pictures. Like, I feel like a lot of these female wrestlers come out with these pictures that just make me feel so bad for eating fries like at any point in time because I'm just like, man, why? Why y'all gotta do this to me? But yeah, Trish Stratus is mother, and a lot of people have been saying that all week. She is such a beautiful woman, and she has a beautiful spirit as well to match how gorgeous she is as a woman. And I just wanted to take some time to just appreciate all of her beauty. But she also made an appearance and did a couple of interviews because this week and today, as it stands, is the 20th anniversary of her main eventing Monday Night Raw for the very first time with Lita for the WWE Women's Championship. And that, of course, made a lot of history and set the precedent for a lot of women's wrestlers to main event Raw and SmackDown, and of course NXT as a regular occurrence in WWE now. You don't have all of the things and all the evolutions that we've seen in women's wrestling in WWE without Trish and Lita. So they've been sort of going on a tour doing press stuff, and then they even showed up at GalaxyCon to talk about it as well. But in an interview with Scott Fishman of TV Insider, she was asked about, what she enjoys or who she enjoys watching in modern WWE. And she talked about how she loves watching Nia Jax. She said, and I quote, I'm so happy she came back. She has a great presence. She has been owning it. I really enjoy watching her. I have this weird thing where I don't think I could fully retire until I'm ragdolled by her. Is that weird? Imagine that. Then I can retire. And then she also shared her thoughts about how she feels about the mid card titles for the women. She said, I think it's amazing. This is exactly what we wanted back in the day. We wanted the same opportunities and exposure as the men. Now, this is a big step to have that level of competition. Having the titles means you're going to have matches for those titles. There is room for multiple feuds over the titles and influx of characters. It creates opportunities for more characters on the show who happen to be female. So, Trish Stratus, of course, weighing in on the growth of the women's division with their new titles, the women's IC and women's United States titles. And a part of me just can't help but wonder what would it have been like to see women like her and like Jacqueline and like Jazz and so many others fighting for titles like that if they existed back then. But, I'm glad that even though it might not have happened for them, that at least it can still happen for other people in the future. So big ups to Trish Stratus for being an absolute legend and icon and for always setting our hearts ablaze with pictures like that. So yeah, love you, Trish. Love you down. So, something else that I also wanted to discuss is the curious case to me of the absolute Ricky Starks. He has not been seen on AEW television in such a long period of time. And because of this, he's actually been getting interviews with people like Chris Van Vliet and making appearances in other places and sort of talking about his discontent with not being utilized on television, even though he's healthy and he's ready to go. And it's just really sad. And I And there was even a point where he was taken off of a show. It was a GCW show, if I'm not mistaken, that he was supposed to make an appearance at. And a lot of people online were really upset about it because this really could have been a really great opportunity for him, but only for him to get snatched away from it. But they did announce that he was supposed to be, that he's going to be at House of Glory in New York at a show. So I think that's really cool. But him not being on AEW television makes me really sad because the first time I saw him wrestle, I was just like, man, like, how come you're not, in world title contention or like TNT title contention or anything like that? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are they doing with this man? And he just has a lot of the oomph that you're looking for. So, for the life of me, it just makes me sad that he's not on television as frequently as he could be. Um, I feel like he could be AEW World Champion if they were to push him that way, but I just have my feelings about that, and I'm just gonna keep that on the hush right now. But I just want more for him. I always want more for all black athletes, because you see Powerhouse Hobbs behind him in that picture. But I always want more for all black athletes, but I definitely want more for him. Backstage Brawl saying free Ricky Starks. Yep, free him. So, yeah, I just don't understand what the deal is, but I hope whatever the deal is, they get over it so he can get back on television cuz he is freaking talented. He is the future. So, Do Right by Ricky Starks. Now, moving on further in news and gossipish, something funny that I saw online this week was somebody discovered that Elijah, formerly known as Elias in WWE, is on TikTok doing lives where he's teaching Bible study. And they were just like, well, is this what Elias is doing now? And yeah, a lot of people came to his defense and said, yeah, he teaches Bible study on TikTok and it's really great. And I just thought it was really interesting how some people really might not know where he went. Now, Elijah does still wrestle every now and again, but he is definitely a Christian and he is very passionate about the gospel of Jesus Christ, if you believe in that. I'm a woman of faith, so I definitely appreciate that. I love it when wrestlers are open about their faith and they are utilizing their faith in the right way and not in a way that takes away from anybody or hurts anybody or pushes people away based off of differences and stuff. So as long as he's doing that, then that's all that truly matters. He's teaching and spreading the gospel in his own way, and I think that's amazing. And as long as he continues to do it in a healthy way, then that's all that matters. And also, if he's continuing his wrestling career, then that's really great too. But yeah, for those who don't know, Mr. Formerly Mr. Who Wants to Walk with Elias is teaching Bible studies on TikTok. And I do recommend that you listen because it's really great. He has a very soothing voice and he's very passionate about the gospel. So, yeah, gotta love it. That was just a really viral thing that just took place. And I thought that was just really interesting. So, yeah. Also, another thing that was very interesting this week in terms of stuff going viral is the fact that Spotify Wrapped came out this week for a lot of Spotify users, which is like a millions of people all around the world. They were talking about and sharing the list of all the songs that they listened to over the past year. And I have an Apple Music subscription, so it does like a replay, so I understand what that is. But there were a lot of people on social media who were very surprised that there are wrestling fans that listen to theme songs on a recreational basis. They were like, y'all really be listening to WWE songs? Like somebody actually tweeted that. And of course, there was a huge discourse of people saying, look, I do. Like there were some people who had WWE in their top five or in their top 10 of theme songs being listened to. I know I didn't really have that many songs pop up in my Apple Music replay this year, but I do listen to them, when I am in the mood for them. And the one that I tend to listen to the most is Bianca Belair's theme song because I kid you not, if you listen to her song with some, excuse me, really power headphones, it makes you want to run through a brick wall. Before you know it, if you're walking outside, if you listen to Bianca Belair's theme song, you will run or at least walk 2 miles before you realize what actually happened because you're just like, whoa, how did I get here? Because you're listening to I Never Needed You at All. Da 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 da. And then of course if you listen to Solo, Sokoa's theme song, his song is an absolute banger. I'm pretty sure if you were to put that on in the car and turn that up sky high, it'll sound like your average everyday rap song. So yeah, people do listen to theme songs recreationally. I have Carmelo Hayes' theme song as my ringtone. It actually rang today while he was on TV, and I thought that was really funny. But yeah, WWE theme songs and wrestling theme songs are where it's at. I love listening to Adam Cole's theme song that he has in AEW. You know it's all about the boom. Like, come on. It gets you hype. So if you are one of those people who loves to listen to wrestling theme songs, but when you're by yourself, when you're running, when you're working, or when you're working out or whatever, don't feel ashamed of that. Like embrace that part of yourself and know that there's a part of yourself that loves that. I think my girl Ella J, who is an amazing wrestling journalist, actually tweeted out during a very tenuous part of this week, which we will get to, that Kofi Kingston should definitely bring back SOS. And I'm just like, not now. Not now. Not now. Okay. But theme songs are the best. Keep them in your playlist and don't be ashamed to express what music you listen to with your Spotify Wraps, your Apple stuff, or everything else, or Tidal or whatever you listen to, or whatever. So, yeah, I just wanted to address that part. And I think that's it for news and gossipish. So now we're going to go into what I liked in wrestling this week, or more specifically, what made me feel emotional feelings this week as well. So, I have to talk about my girls in the War Games match. Survivor Series War Games took place in Vancouver, BC, in Canada, and it never ceases to amaze me, how War Games as a spectacle continues to grow and just get better with each and every year. Like, I just really love that they added this concept into Survivor Series because it's a little bit more refreshing than just the average brand supremacy thing that had been done for a number of years. I know a lot of people would love the whole classic Raw versus SmackDown thing, which is cool and does serve its purpose in a major way. But I actually really like the War Games part better, and it actually allows for people from different brands to actually intermingle with each other as opposed to fighting against each other. And I just like it. So the women's War Games match was really fire. The parts that I absolutely enjoyed was definitely Tiffany Stratton and seeing her do her backflip over everyone else while Io Sky, Miss War Games, put the trash can over her head and did a moonsault onto everybody else on her side of the cage. That was unbelievable. Rhea Ripley participating in it, even though her face was still injured and she had on like a mask or something that looked like the face of the bone of an animal's face. It was just really cool, and I just loved watching her, fight with everyone. Like, I just really enjoyed every bit of this match. And surprisingly enough, even though Bianca was in it and she's one of the pillars of the women's war games concept, she did get beat down a lot and didn't really have a whole lot of time to shine as much as she did last year. But it was still good. Everyone did a phenomenal job. And Team Rhea EST wound up winning, and you can't really go wrong with that. And Naomi won on her birthday, which is just really cool. So big shout out to those women, and it was and that War Games match. It was sensational. Um, yeah, very sensational. And yeah, EO is crazy. And I did want to talk about how when EO was in the press conference after War Games, she talked about how she just trusts the trash can. And I just thought that was a funny concept for her to just say, "Oh, I just trust the trash can now." And I was just like, "EO, you're nuts. You're nuts." And I love it. So as long as she trusts the trash can, then we'll trust the trash can. But she really just be flipping onto people, with that trash can, not really caring about anything. And it's just like, girl, I love it. So yeah. Another thing that shocked me in War Games was just the fact that Shinsuke Nakamura made his return in on SmackDown and beat LA Knight for the United States Championship. Mind you, this is a championship that he has held before, but the idea of him, being a big bad now and coming after LA Knight and getting in his head to the point where he beat him was just like really surprising for me. I was like, whoa. Like when it went 1, 2, 3, I was like, huh? Like I was really surprised at that. And that's not because I feel like Shinsuke is not a good wrestler, because he clearly is. He's well accomplished. It was just surprising because I thought maybe LA would have kept it a little bit longer, but Shinsuke has it now, and I guess you really can't be LA Knight without a good villain. So hey, this is where we're at. But I feel like Shinsuke's whole presentation now is very dark and it's very different in comparison to how we've seen him in the past. And I do like it. It's really giving a mysterious warrior vibe. And yeah, even tonight on SmackDown when he was possibly about to get attacked by the Crash Out bloodline, like he just had mist coming out of his mouth and it was just bleh, like to creep people out, and I'm just like, yep. I'm here for that. So yeah, Shinsuke is here to really shake some stuff up. And with him being US champion now, it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, we got something different here. It's really interesting. So, big ups to Shinsuke for being the new United States champion. But I just can't help but feel like at some point, I just can't help but feel like they've just relegated. I don't want to say relegated because the mid card is important, but I really just feel like he should have been WWE champion by now. Like I really feel like Shinsuke really could have been WWE champion by now, but they really dropped the ball with that, and I really hate it. But that's just how it is. But it's okay, I guess. And of course, you had the men's War Games match in which Team Punk Roman wound up winning. OG Bloodline actually wound up winning and gave some of the most funniest moments that I saw from a group of men in my life. The idea that you have CM Punk a year removed from when he made his phenomenal return at War Games, and now he's in a War Games match with Roman, it's just really nuts. It's not really something that I thought I would ever see at this point. Because of course he did kind of have a partnership with Roman when Roman was in the Shield, and that was way back when. But I just never thought I would see these two egos kind of just have to work together and have to lean on each other. And I think that was present throughout the whole match. But I'm just really glad that they were able to pull it together and actually protect each other so they could win against the Crash Out cousins. So it was really cool. This picture deserves to be framed somewhere. And yeah, it was nuts, but it was a really great match. I enjoyed it a lot. And it just gave really great moments, like with the both of them standing in this cage like this, kind of looking like, I don't want to be here, but I gotta stand here, and I don't think I should look at him. And Roman's like, he better not look at me. He better not look at me. He better not look at me. Like they just really, it was just really funny. Like it was just really comical. I'm just like, oh my god, this is funny. So yeah, and then you also had Tamatonga Ing, when he made his entrance as like the first participant in the War Games match. This man proceeded to crawl all over the cage like a monster. Like, sir, what are you doing? It was just really nuts. It was really nuts. And I feel like the picture is only doing a part of the job. I wish I could play the video, but I can't. But the fact that he was just crawling like that on top of the cage, knowing he had a match, is just, I aspire to be that level of in shape, to crawl on a cage and then wrestle a match. Like, excuse me, what are you made out of? What type of things are you eating or not eating in order to do this? It's nuts. But Tomatonga's not of this world. And also, Jacob Fatu is not of this world either. Because the fact that CM Punk got in that match and tried to give him a DDT into the toolbox only for him to get back up and then kick him in the face was just absolutely nuts. Like, excuse me, Jacob Fatu? What are you made out of, and what hard times have you seen? I know some of them, but what other hard times have you seen to do some crazy stuff like that? Like, I saw someone on Twitter say that every time he performs like his life depends on it. And I believe it. Like every time he performs like it's the last time. And I appreciate that approach so much. Like you can't take his eyes off him no matter what he does. And yeah, he might be a crash out cousin, but I feel like I have two favorite crash out cousins. It's Jacob and it's Tomatonga because they both give their all and Jacob is just nuts. He's just crazy. He's just like the Tasmanian devil we never had in wrestling. And he's just crazy. And he'll always buzz off and be like, I love you, Solo, and then destroy everybody. It's just like, bruh, what are you made out of, son? What are the Fatus made out of? What I just don't understand. I don't understand. Now that I think about it, I feel like a tag team between him and Umaga would have ate. It definitely would have ate. But, I'm sure Umaga is definitely in a better place. But a tag team between those two would have definitely ate down. Or even like a trios team with Rosie and Jamal and Jacob Fatu would have ate too. But it's okay. Rest in peace to both those men. But Jacob is out here ready to rock some people, and it's crazy. So those are all the things that I liked about War Games. Now, moving into what I liked in Raw on Monday Night Raw, I got to start with the women. I am so, so happy that the women's intercontinental title exists now. I was wondering if they were really going to do this. In my last episode, I talked about how, since the women's United States title exists, that I was wondering if Raw was going to have the equivalent because at first they were saying that the Raw women could compete for the US title if they wanted to. But now they have officially announced the women's intercontinental title for Raw, and this blessed my soul in such a deep way. And the tournament started this week, and I'm just like, I'm just so happy that this title is real. All the manifestation and all the years of talking about women's mid card titles and writing articles about it, cheap plug. It all came to fruition and it all worked out. And I'm just so happy that this title is here and it's beautiful. And they're keeping the theme with the white strap. And I'm just like, yes, 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 yes. The women's IC title is here. And Dakota Kai is the first to qualify in the women's IC title tournament. I was really happy to see this from her because for a minute she was gone, due to injury and stuff. And it just feels like a lot of the time she's been very unlucky in that regard with her injuries. So to see her bounce back in this way and qualify for this tournament is such a huge deal. And she seems really passionate about it. And I'm really happy that she won the first match against Shayna Baszler. Um, and oh my God, who was the other girl she fought? I know it was Shayna Baszler, and I feel like I'm blanking. And Katana Chance. Like they did such an amazing job in that match. And Katana Chance did really good too in a singles match. And apparently they said it was her first singles match on the main roster. And I was like, what the heck? Like I could have sworn she had wrestled one before, but she hadn't because she was in a tag team. Um, with Kaden Carter. But to see the way that she performed in that was really impressive. But I'm just really glad that Dakota has a chance to move forward and possibly be the first women's intercontinental champion. But now that she's moving forward, she has to prepare to face off against either Zoe Stark, Raquel Rodriguez, or Kaden Carter. And on the other side, we have Alba Fire versus Kyrie Sane versus Natalia. And this coming Monday, we'll have Lyra Valkyria versus my girl, Zelina Vega, and Ivy Nile. And if it's one person I know I want to win the Intercontinental Championship for the women is Zelina Vega. And that's no shade to either of the other girls, especially even Dakota. But Zelina Vega, this is her time. I just feel really passionate about wanting her to win because she just has not held a singles title in WWE. She's only been a queen of the ring. And I keep saying this over and over again, but it bears repeating. She's been a queen of the ring before, and she's been a women's tag team champion with Carmella. But since then, since she's been, even with Legato, when it flipped into LWO and everything, she's been fighting and she's had opportunities for singles titles multiple times only to fall short. And now that these mid card titles exist, I really do believe that these titles truly need to go to women who work really hard, um, and who do their very best to prove, you know, night in or week in and week out whenever they're on TV that they are worth watching. And Zelina has proved that not only with her in-ring ability, but also with her personality and with how she rocks on the microphone and how she's just really like sassy with her New York wit and everything. Like give her the ball. Give her the ball and let her play. And like I said, this is no shade to any of the other girls. But dang it, I want it for Zelina real, real bad. I am the general, the southeastern general of the ZV Army, and I feel like it is her time to get something. Give her something, and she deserves the women's intercontinental title. Please, 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 please. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. We also have the drama of Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan continuing on. It's so funny that Liv and Raquel had so much trash to talk even after they lost the War Games match, and even as the Judgment Day is crumbling underneath them, they still have the bravado of people who win everything. And it's just like, girls, I'm gonna really need for y'all to let this go. And Rhea would go on to run after them and attack them, and then also have a brawl with Raquel because, of course, Liv likes to run. And I just don't understand how Liv just keeps letting Rhea Ripley just hand her L's all the time. It's like you run from her, you want to scream at her and act like you want to fight her, but every time you do get the chance to fight her, you run away or you let some people pick her off for you. And it's just like, Liv, you keep talking all this stuff saying you're the greatest women's world champion there is or that ever has been. But you just keep running from the woman who keeps pitting you over and over again, and it just makes you look like a loser. L live. Like literally more L's in your name. All you do is take L's. All you do is get beat. All you do is get pinned. You got pinned at War Games. Stop running. Stop running from your issues and stop hiding behind everybody else. Like it's just really annoying at this point. So, yeah. Now moving to the men on Raw. You had Seth Rollins and CM Punk have an interaction. Now, CM Punk started the show. He made his entrance, and I love the hoodie he had on, by the way. It looked like an army hoodie, except it had Best in the World CM Punk on it, and it was really cute. Not sure if I would buy it, though, because I just have major respect for people in the military. But it was a really cute hoodie. And CM Punk was out here talking about his plans to try to make it to WrestleMania because, of course, last year, well, not last year, this year, he could not participate because he was injured and he was on commentary for a match, and that was pretty much it. Even though he did cost Drew McIntyre his chance at the world title, that was all he was really able to do. And his plan was to main event WrestleMania this year before he got injured in the Rumble and stuff. So he climbed up on the top rope and pointed at the invisible WrestleMania sign that we're inevitably going to see. And he said, "Look, do you see the future? Do you see it?" And I'm just like, yeah, we see it. Like, give us the Vegas sign now, right?" But as soon as he's pointing at the sign, Mr. Burn It Down comes out and he just comes to rain on his parade. And he gets the microphone and he says, "I should have took you out the night you made your return." Even though I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. But then CM Punk essentially ended him by saying, "I was interested in fighting you when you had the World Heavyweight title, but it looks like you don't have that anymore. And now I don't think about you at all. And I was just like, oh my God, do you know how bad it is when somebody tells you that they don't think about you at all? Like, you want to fight me. And I wanted to fight you when you had the title, but baby, I don't think about you at all. You are the last person on my mind. That is a level of healing that you have to reach in life. When you don't even think about your ops anymore, yeah, that's perfect. So this inevitably leads them to fight, but then Jay Uso and Sami Zayn break them up, and Seth and Sammy have an insane back and forth on the microphone, which can only be described as heated and full of the truth because every time Sami Zayn gets the microphone, um, they tell him like you need to speak, and he's just like, good, I need to freak with the truth. And he told Seth Rollins that, well, okay, Seth decided to come for Sammy and was all like, oh, well, you decided to team with the person who abused you and treated you like trash and treated you like you weren't family and all of that and blah, blah, blah. And Roman Reigns is a monster. And Sammy was like, yeah, he's a monster that you created because you hit him in the back with that chair years ago. And everybody in the crowd was like, oh, and I'm just like, he didn't lie. He really didn't lie. But then Seth was just like, he's a monster you created too because you hit him in the back as well. And I was just like, oh, calling back to the time Sammy hit Roman in the back at Royal Rumble 2 years ago. That was lit. And I was just like, these two are just dropping truth bombs all over each other. But I really feel like Sammy's chair shot was consequential, but it wasn't nearly as consequential as Seth's chair shot. Because, sweetheart, you did not have to stab the Shield in the back the way you did. But you did that, and now look what we have. Um, so yeah, it was just really nuts. The butterfly effect in the promo was just really nuts, and I just really enjoyed these two going back and forth, which led to them having a match in the main event of Raw. Um, that was everything. But either way, this was a really great encounter. Then you have Crash Out Finn. Um, he is really getting on my nerves now because it just feels like even though he's a tag team champion with JD McDonough, that's just not enough for him. It's like if he isn't inserting himself in the world heavyweight title picture somehow, it's almost like he just feels useless. And I'm just like, dude, you're a tag team champion. Why can't you just focus on that? And his brothers and sisters in Judgment Day are wondering why he's not focused on that either. And it seems like now he's getting a little bit too big for his britches. It seems like the very same thing he tried to come down on Rhea and Damien for and the whole there are no leaders in Judgment Day thing, he's becoming that in real time. And it's just like, and he's really crashing out. He's not even focused on the group anymore. He's only focused on himself. He stopped Damian Priest from being able to win the title at War Games. And then he beat up on Gunther, who told him he didn't need him interfering in his match. So now he's just crashing out, beating everybody's behind, trying to teach Dom a lesson like he needs to learn. And Liv even peeps it, and she doesn't even like it. So the foundation of the Judgment Day is just all shook up. And now Finn has a tag team title match, and I'm pretty sure his head isn't even in the game for it. But we gonna get back to the tag team titles in a minute. Um, I won't necessarily say that this was a part of Raw that I liked or didn't like. It was just something that I kind of felt was coming, but the way that it was executed was not something I was expecting at all. And for those who are watching live, this is the part of the show where I'm going to talk about the New Day. So I have to start at the beginning before I get to the end. Um, when I started noticing the New Day coming together, I was in college. And this was, of course, in 2014. And when I saw the New Day as a thing and manifesting themselves not as the Nation of Domination 2.0 that they were initially supposed to be, and they came out as gospel singing preachers, I actually liked that, even though there was a lot of people who didn't like that because they felt like, this is sort of like a shucking and jiving gimmick. I actually liked it because it actually fed into a part of my life that I was really passionate about at the time. And that was the gospel choir that I was in when I was at Berea College, the Black Music Ensemble. And so watching these black men in wrestling, clapping and singing the way that they were doing, I felt seen. That part of me felt seen in a sport that I had been watching forever. And I just, there was something about them that clicked with me. So then they turned out to be villains, and it was just kind of like, oh my God, what the heck is happening? How are you guys being inspirational and talking about the power of positivity, but you guys are cheating to win? Like, what is going on? Everybody was booing them, but deep down inside, I loved them. I had always loved Kofi Kingston. Um, I always saw it for Xavier Woods, even though I might not have seen him as much when he was when he first started out as a single star, or when he was in a tag team with R Truth. He was there, but he wasn't there as prominently. And then I loved Big E too because he was the muscle for Dolph Ziggler and AJ Lee. That was funny and that was cool. But them together just meshed well for me. I They turned out to be something more than I ever imagined that they would ever be. And I've talked about on this show previously where I think this week I shared an old audio clip of me talking about how I reacted when Kofi Mania happened, because when Kofi made his debut as, the SOS Jamaican guy, I actually liked him. I thought that that was interesting, and he would wear all these bright colors and everything, and he was always wearing wearing these bright colors, having his Jamaican accent, winning these titles back and forth and everything, like being a tag team champion, IC champion, US champion, just highly decorated. But yet he would never qualify to win a WWE title, or whatever. And so watching him get to that opportunity and finally get it, on the off the backs of his brothers, and getting that opportunity meant the world to me at that point of my life. Like I was so passionate about it. Like I was at my church, my old church, praying for Kofi Kingston to win the title. Like I was like, Lord, please just let him win. Please let him win, because it's just important. Because at that point, I think at that point at church they were saying like, look, every prayer is important to God. And I was just like, well, if that's the case, then I need to talk to God about Kofi. And I know that might sound ridiculous, but that's just real. Um, and then I got baptized a second time the weekend that he won the WWE title, and I was wearing a Ghana wristband because Kofi is from Ghana, and I had actually traveled there when I was in college too. The year I went to Ghana was the year the New Day actually was founded. So um, it was watching him win that title was very emotional for me. I was jumping, I was screaming. Um, it was just really great to watch him win, and I was crying even more when Xavier started crying. It was just a beautiful moment, and it's also a moment that I believe has had a ripple effect in all of wrestling, and it really let people know that black people, black women, and black men can be, champions and can be the face of a brand, or whatever. And I know I saw a lot of people online saying, because of the turn that happened, that, oh, well, maybe he should have lost to Brock Lesnar. I will never say that. I will never say that because I will never like it. Every time I see it, I just want to like turn it away. Like, no. I will never say that Kofi Kingston should have lost to Brock Lesnar in 6 seconds. I will never say that. That I may be upset now, but I will never ever say that because that's just a bit too much. That's a bit too far. Because Kofi Mania was a little bit too sacred for me to just throw it away because of that. I'm not gonna do it. So every time the New Day succeeded, I just felt a sense of pride and a sense of happiness, even from Big E winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. I was so excited about that because I was just like, great, like he has this singles opportunity because he had won the IC title, lost it, and won it back. And then this was when they were actually propositioning the Intercontinental title to give you a leg up a bit towards the WWE Championship, or at least they were trying at that point. And Biggie won Money in the Bank, and I was just really excited about that, only for him to cash in on Bobby Lashley. And it was so funny because that night he was saying, I'm going to cash in on you. And Bobby just kept looking at him like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. He just wasn't taking him seriously the whole night. But then Big E said, look, I'm calling my shot. I'm doing this. And when he won, I was screaming and I was like, yes, he won. And Big E, yay. I was just so happy, just so happy. Every time these men succeeded, like 2 out of 3 men winning the WWE Championship, I felt like this further solidified them as the greatest stable of all time to me. If you want to argue about it, we can argue about it later, but I'm not going to argue about it now. But yeah, this was amazing for me. I just loved watching this happen live. And also, let me just say, since Big E is on the brain, if you have not read his editorial that he did on the Players Tribune called Sour, please read it because it is so good. It is really good and it puts everything that happened this week into perspective. Like, please read it because it's fire. His life story and his testimony is just out of this world. So please read it. So, moving past that part, you also had all the accomplishments of Xavier, who not only is a fantastic wrestler, but also, you know, is a really great host. He always mentioned that one of his greatest dreams was to be like the new host of Nick Arcade, because he was so passionate about video games and passionate about hosting game shows and stuff, and how he made a dream come true for himself by being on Wheel of Fortune. Which is real because a lot of black families, would gather around the TV, or my family in particular, and watch Jeopardy or watch Wheel of Fortune or watch Family Feud and stuff like that. And in my mind, I could see that for Xavier. He went on to host the new G4, of course, which no longer exists now, but that was a huge moment for him. And then he had Up, Up, Down, Down, which opened the door for wrestlers to share their thoughts and their passion for video gaming and other hobbies as well. And seeing stuff like that means a lot because I have a boyfriend who loves video games, who gets excited whenever there's a certain release that he really, wants to get, and then gets excited about every update that comes with the game so he can play it, and how he really is passionate about playing in story mode first and then do like the adventures on the side. Like that is stuff that Xavier was actually bringing to the forefront in wrestling that had not really been brought there before. And culturally, seeing black men be interested in stuff like that really, opened doors and opened up an opportunity for people, black men, and also black women to be truly who they are and to walk in their weirdness. And that is such a beautiful thing. The New Day's impact goes further, beyond just wrestling. It goes into culture as a whole. It goes into representation as a whole. Um, them showing their pride in their blackness and their Africanness, like that feeds into the unapologeticness that we're seeing in the wrestlers of the future now. Like without the New Day, you don't have an authentic Carmelo Hayes or an authentic Trick Williams or an authentic Jada Parker or anyone else at this point, or so many other women and men who are so talented getting to be the fullest form of themselves. Like you just don't see that without them. And they've just done so much. And then even with Biggie, I didn't even also talk about the fact that he acts and does voice work, and then he created Our Heroes Rock with Andreas Hale and Jonathan Davenport. Like just so many things. These men are so gifted in so many areas. And the fact that they have been able to stand together for 10 years, it's just a testament of their brotherhood and their friendship, and just a testament to how they carry themselves in the world, and just how they make everything better around them, which makes it all the more sad to watch how everything happened Monday. Whew, this hurts so bad. Um, the thing that hurts, that has been hurting over the past couple of months, is watching Xavier and Kofi be so angry at each other with their miscommunications and their misunderstandings of each other, not hearing each other out and all of this stuff, and them almost falling apart. Even last week, to the point to where they were saying the absolute worst things to each other. A relationship reaches its breaking point when you start saying the most hurtful things to each other. And that's what was happening with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. It was almost to a point where we really just did not know if they were even going to make it to their reunion. And then we get to the reunion, we get to the anniversary celebration. The balloons are out, the costumes are out. They even had an inflatable box of bootios there and all of that. I'm sorry. And then it sounded low key like they were getting ready to say that it might be for the best that we, you know, just take some time apart, and just saying like whatever happens, this is not your fault, saying that to the fans. But then Big E's music hits and you're just like, okay, there's a glimmer of hope there. Maybe there's something good that can come out of this. What's Big E gonna add to the equation? And Big E's like, look, I've watched you two bicker and it's been really heartbreaking, but I'm here to remind you guys who you are. And Big E got personal, and he told Xavier and Kofi, like, look, like I held your daughter, Kofi's new baby girl. I held your daughter after she was born. Xavier, when you won King of the Ring, you cried on my shoulders. And in the scariest moment of my career, when he got injured, his neck injury that he sustained, um, in 2022, y'all flew to be there by my side, bedside. So I'm going to be here to remind you guys who you are, and I will be your managers, if this is what it's going to take. And just when it looked like everything was going to be okay, Xavier looks at Biggie and says, now? And that's when my heart started to sink. I was just like, Xavier, don't do this. You've been cashing an attitude all for like the past 2 months, and I'm gonna need you to not catch an attitude at E now. But he continued and he was like, now at the last second when we're fighting, and it was so bad. He was just like, when we're almost at the edge of the cliff and there's nothing left to do but jump, now you want to be our manager? And Xavier was essentially saying like, look, you could have been our manager a long time ago. But then when Big E tried to chime in and say, hey, I broke my neck. I couldn't be there for y'all or whatever. Like I broke my neck. I was trying to get healed. But then Kofi was like, no. And that was what was so shocking. Is like, because usually Kofi, as the veteran out of the whole group, he's usually the voice of reason. This time he wasn't. And he agreed with Xavier and said, okay, yeah, you broke your neck. So what? That is such a wild sentence. And everybody shares the same sentiment. It is a wild sentence to say. Okay, yeah, you broke your neck. So what? And then he proceeded to say, Stone Cold Steve Austin broke his neck. Kurt Angle broke his neck. And even Edge broke his neck and they still came back. And I'm sitting here like, that's ridiculous because it took a number of years for each of those people to actually come back from a broken neck. And then he even mentioned that Biggie didn't even have to have surgery. So he could have came back at any point. And I'm just like, that's ridiculous. And the part that's the most ridiculous to me is the fact that Biggie probably didn't even know how to come back. And I really feel like that's what people are missing. Big E probably did not know how to return because how do you, as a classified heavyweight who used to be a WWE champion and used to be running around active in ring with the both of y'all, is just supposed to come back after an injury like that and just be y'all cheerleader? You think that that was immediately the first thing he wanted to do? No, the first thing he probably wanted to do was come back and fight with y'all. But they weren't showing him any grace with that. They were just like, no, you broke your neck and you decided not to come back with us. And then Xavier chimes in and he's just like, no, we left the light on for you so you could have something familiar to come back to. And you still didn't come back because, and even they didn't have a family to come or anybody waiting for them to come back. You did, and you still chose not to come back. You chose your broadcasting job that you do on the post shows, and you chose your girlfriend over us. And that's really when the shit hit the fan. Forgive me for cursing, but this is really where the shit hits the fan because I'm just sitting here like, how y'all gonna mention Chris like that? That was so horrible. And I loved how Chris Yim just decided that she was just gonna pop back at everybody on Twitter. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Christian, future Mrs. Biggie, you are all right with me. She is a girlfriend among girlfriends. Because baby, if you disrespect my man, it's done. So I love that. I love that. But the fact that she caught a stray in the midst of that, it was just really, really harsh. And they were just saying, broken neck or not, you chose yourself over the brotherhood, and they pushed him out. And Big E was begging him. He was just like, "Nah, for 10 years, y'all gonna do this to me? No, you can't." And then even after it seemed like they weren't going to change their mind, he still tried, but it was to no avail. They turned their backs on him and he left the ring. And it was so heartbreaking. And then to make it worse, they decided to grab each other's hands and say, "It's you and me now together." And then the cameraman was petty as F because right in between them is the Kofi Mania picture where both E and Woods were lifting him up on their shoulders after he won. Cinema. Dark cinema. And then to make matters even more worse, the Majin necklace that Kofi had been wearing the past couple of weeks, he had it on in this segment. Anime people, do your thing. Do what you will with that, but that was just so horrendous. And to watch them come together to push out their brother when weeks they were having argument after argument after argument, y'all decided to come together and push out Big E. I was so angry. I was just like, I was heartbroken. I was shocked. And I was pissed off afterward because I'm sitting here like, how y'all gonna do that to him when he probably did not know how to come back? But I guess we gonna see what happens. But if they gonna act like this, I'm gonna need for them to actually go and take them tag team titles off of Finn and JD since they want to be so big and bad. If y'all want to do all this, actually be the badass tag team that y'all claim y'all want to be, and go after the tag titles and take them off. Don't start losing. Actually start winning stuff now since y'all want to act like y'all big and bad and act like y'all who tied the bell, like my grandma used to say. Come on. Step up, be big boys, and actually do the things since y'all want to act like this. But yeah, um the new day means a lot to me. So the idea that this turn happened just really shook everybody up and it shook me up. But clearly the story has a lot more legs to it. And yeah, I just hope that this leads to more opportunities for them. But then I also feel that this isn't going to be the last we see of Biggie either. I feel like this might be opening a door for him to possibly come back and knock their heads loose. I don't know. But yeah, this was a lot. This was a whole lot. And I'm still processing. Us as wrestling fans are probably still processing everything. But this was probably one of the most heartbreaking segments I had ever seen in my whole life. So yeah, kudos to y'all. Y'all smashed my heart during Christmas time. Thanks. Now moving into NXT, Jada Parker continues to Jada Parker. And her being upset at Lola Vice for costing her last chance in the deadline Iron Survivor match for the women, and the promo that she cut on her was absolutely ridiculous in a good way. I was just like, girl, Jada, just put her on the main roster right now. Because the level of attitude that this woman just continues to give, it's unparalleled for someone who just started a year ago. Like really put that together. Jada Parker just started wrestling a year ago, and she had championship matches this year, and she's going off on the microphone like this, cussing people out, beating up ops with bricks, all of the things. Jada Parker deserves everything, and I hope they give her a T-shirt because I want to buy it. Yeah, she's life. Jada is love. Jada is life, and yeah, she's great. And I don't know. I'm gonna give my predictions for Deadline in a little bit, but Miss Ma'am did the things. Also, when it comes to the NXT women, it looked like Carmen Petrovich was having a little bit of understanding, but then misunderstanding with Ashanti the Adonis because he was trying to help her, but she didn't realize it. And then he even gave her like roses, and that was sweet and everything. But I'm really going to need these people to get on the same page when it comes to communication because they really could be a cute couple if they just get on the same page and actually communicate with each other. And Carmen in her match with Nikita Lyons was really fire. Oh, sorry. It was really fire. And I actually wouldn't mind seeing them fight each other like in a series because they both kind of have like the same background in terms of fighting, even though I know Carmen has a little bit more experience with her martial art. There's still martial art experience that they have. And I really want to see them fight and lean more into that. But yeah, I'm just gonna need for Carmen and Ashanti to actually communicate with each other more. And then Gigi Dolan came back, and I'm so happy she is back because she was like my favorite member of Toxic Attraction, and I've been wanting her to get more stuff going for herself since Toxic Attraction fell apart and JC left her. And then she came back from her injury, and now she's friends with Tatum Paxley. And she won her match against Izzy Dame, and that was really cool. But I'm gonna need for Mr. Sean Spears to stay far away from her. And that's exactly what I mean. Stay far away from Gigi. I don't want Gigi in another group or faction. I want her to be her own girl and find her footing on her own. That's what I want. I don't want Gigi in another faction. Please don't put her in another faction. Keep Sean Spears away from her. Unless, of course, Sean decides that he wants to get Tatum instead. I don't know. But either way, leave Gigi alone. Leave my baby alone, please. Now, when it comes to NXT and the men, I just want to know who attacked Eddie Thorpe at the end of NXT. I have a feeling that I know who did it, and I have two suspects as to who could have done it. I feel like an absentee Obafemi could have done it, or a member of Ava's bloodline could have done it to get back at him having to do with the scuffle that wound up having her get hurt. Even though it was proven that he didn't do it per se, I still feel like one of the bloodline members wasn't hearing that and they decided to attack him instead and just be like, rah. So those are my two predictions as to who attacked Eddie Thorpe. I don't know if this is going to take him out of the men's Iron Survival match, but either way, this was an interesting way to end the episode Tuesday. I also loved watching Javon Evans get his flowers from X Pac. I thought it was so cool that X Pac told Javon, like, when I faced Razor Ramon for the first time, I was your exact age. And when you really think about how long these men have been in the wrestling business, like, for him to have been that young and had his big moment as the 1, 2, 3 kid to defeat Razor Ramon and then go on, of course, to be friends with him and everything, like, it's just really crazy how some of these men really dedicate their entire adult lives to this one business. And now he's an elder and now he's giving props to the younger generation in Javon. And it's just really cool to see that. And then Javon was having a moment where he was like, "Oh my God, he just did this with me." Ah! And I was just like, you know what? I would have done the exact same thing. So big ups to Javon Evans. I loved his Dennis Rodman t-shirt. It was definitely giving 90s vibes. Of course, and then it was cool because X-Pac had on an NWO t-shirt. And of course, Dennis Rodman was in the NWO and actually left the Chicago Bulls during playoff season to hang out at WCW. So seeing that tie in together was just really cool. So yay, Team Javon. Also, who did Stevie Turner and Robert Stone see on NXT that made them straighten themselves up? I feel like we're gonna get an answer to it Saturday. Because I do have a cryptic conspiracy theory about Deadline that I'm going to share in a little bit. But I do want to know who this was because Robert Stone straightened out his suit jacket and everything for this person. And I just got to know who was it? And when it comes to this little promo and this interaction between NXT champion Trick Williams and Ridge Holland, along with Eric Bischoff, who they said was supposed to stir the pot a little bit, but didn't really stir it that much, he gave it like a gentle tug, and that was it. Um, he kind of let Trick and Ridge do all the work. But when Trick got him together during his promo and told Ridge that don't let this ice fool you because I'll still give you a cold ass whooping, I said, yes, gather him. Gather him for the culture. Because I didn't want Ridge Holland to win the NXT championship anyway. But the way this man acted on Twitter when the New Day didn't break up when the New Day decided to were going through their issues, and when he tweeted a picture of himself standing in the middle of the ring posed like this, like he was happy, that was that was in absolute bad taste. And I'm gonna need for Ridge Holland to sit down. And yes, you can argue he was a heel, he was supposed to da, 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 da. I don't care. I do not care. Ridge, you are a part of the problem as to why the New Day is in the situation that they're in now. And you gloating about it is not cool. It wasn't cool. It was in poor taste. And I'm just going to need for him to sit all the way down. And I'm going to need for Trick Williams to beat him for the culture immediately, expeditiously. Please beat him up. So, yeah. So now we're going to move into my NXT deadline predictions. Of course, NXT deadline is tomorrow. Um, I have a theory because even though it's an NXT event primarily, usually you see the letters NXT above a pay-per-view that they normally have. But this is the first time they're doing Deadline with it being branded as just a WWE event. And a prediction that I have is that we might get a visit from some main roster people. I'm really predicting that some main roster people might show up and interweave themselves into the NXT stuff and cause some ruckus. So that's my prediction about that because we've never seen WWE just be it. We've never seen Deadline be called WWE Deadline. It's been NXT Deadline. And the idea that it's WWE Deadline this year, there has to be a purposeful change behind it. So, yeah. Um my prediction for the women's Iron Survivor match, I think I'm going to predict that maybe Zarya will win because I know she did just get here, But I just feel like she just has like the stronger presence for me, and she might actually pose a different type of threat towards Roxanne if she were to have that opportunity at the NXT Women's title. I kind of want for her to get the opportunity just to see how she would go about it, cuz even though she's not that much of a high flyer, I feel like because she's a bigger girl with a bigger build, she has more power. And I can't wait to see how that turns out. So I'm going to predict that Zarya um will win the women's Iron Survivor match, but I'm open to whoever winning it. Um I'm also um I also wouldn't be mad if Julia won it because she has more of a gripe with Roxanne because Roxanne cheated to beat her. And then I also wouldn't mind Stephanie either. But either way, or Soul. But I'm predicting that maybe it's going to be Zarya. So there's that prediction. Um, there's also the underground match between Jada Parker and Lola Vice. Of course, Lola Vice is the winner of the first ever women's underground match. I think that she had against Natalia. So I think that maybe Lola could win this. Maybe Lola could win this because I think Jada had the last lick on her with the brick and distracting her with that or whatever. I feel like Lola really might win this, but yet Jada will still have an amazing showing with it too. So I'm predicting Lola Vice is gonna win because this is more of her wheelhouse than it is Jada's. So yeah, Lola might win that. I'm predicting Lola. Now for the tag team championship match, you have Fraxion going up against the No Quarter Catch Crew's Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne. And I just feel like Fraxium has to be the most unluckiest tag teams in all of wrestling right now. Because for them to have so many communication issues, they still somehow wind up pulling through when it matters most when it comes to those NXT tag team titles. But I low key feel like right now it's sort of coming to a head. And I feel like if Ren Sinclair isn't going to possibly win the women's Iron Survivor, then maybe the No Quarter Catch Crew should probably have a win, and the tag team titles should go home with them. So I think I'm going to predict that Tavion and Miles are going to win, and that Fraxium are really going to fracture because Nathan Frazier also has to participate in the men's Iron Survivor match, and I'm pretty sure a lot of his attention seems to be mostly focused on that than it is the tag titles, and I feel like that could ultimately cost him. So I'm predicting that No Quarter Crew is going to win the tag team titles. So that's my prediction for that. Um, and then we have the men's Iron Survivor match. I'm going to predict that Wes Lee is going to win because I was actually intrigued when he had that little interaction with Trick Williams and he wanted to fight him or whatever, but then he got interrupted by everybody else, by Jay Uso or whatever. So I really feel like Wes Lee could be the Iron Survivor and have the opportunity. I don't really want it to be Ethan Page because no. Um I would love for it to be Javon Evans because that would just be an amazing opportunity for him. And Eddie, that would be cool for him. And Nathan, that would be okay for him. But yeah, I feel like it's Wesley's time. Yeah, Randy chiming in on YouTube saying it's Wesley's time. It is his time. I feel like it is his time. And he cut his hair and everything. I feel like maybe he's just ready for a fresh start and maybe this could be it. So I'm predicting it's gonna be Wesley as the Iron Survivor. And then finally, we have the NXT Championship match with Trick Williams and Ridge Holland. Trick Williams just needs to beat Ridge Holland's ass for the culture. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Trick is going to retain. And if Ridge does beat him, we're going to riot. We're going to riot hard. Okay? We ride at dawn. Now, when it comes to what I liked in wrestling this week in AEW, it's Mercedes Moné. the TBS champion and the New Japan Strong Women's champion. She served a look. And that was my favorite thing about the show. She served a look. She looked so beautiful with this purple hair and this blue fur and this sheer jumpsuit. Miss Ma'am looked absolutely gorgeous. And I just wanted to hold some space for that. She continues to serve us. Even in the moments where she's recovering from being hit, she still serves us. And I love it. She's such a beautiful goat. Just stunning. Absolutely stunning. And now we move into SmackDown. Now, I didn't necessarily like this part, and I love Tiffany Stratton down. But the fact that she won this match, and it was cool for her to win in front of her hometown because it was her first time fighting in front of her hometown. I think that was really cool, and her gear was amazing. She was dressed up like a Minnesota Vikings cheerleader. It was really cute. Um, but with her being Miss Money in the Bank, I wondered what was the purpose of her moving forward in this tournament when not saying I really wanted Naomi to win because she has basically lost almost every other chance she has had at a main championship since she's returned, and I don't like that for her. I do not like that for her at all. And the idea that Tiffany won with the help of Candice LeRae at that, I'm pretty sure they're feeding into more of that storyline with her and Nia Jax or whatever. But I was kind of bummed out that that didn't go to Naomi. Like, why? Why can't Naomi have an opportunity? I mean, it's cool that Tiffany has more of an opportunity to be a singles title holder at this point when it comes to the tournament for the United States Championship for the girls. But I don't know. I just feel like there has to be a reason why Naomi isn't being given fair opportunities, or like she's always losing these big title matches. Like it's really hurting my feelings at this point. This woman was a champion in TNA and she comes back to WWE, irons out all those issues that they had, and what? Jesus. Randy's saying, I still got Mia winning. I hope she does. I really hope that Mia wins because she deserves it. But yeah, Tiffany is going forward in the tournament. She will go on to face Michin, and who, of course, the winner of that match goes to the finals, which will be happening next Saturday at Saturday Night's Main Event. And then you have Bailey going up against Chelsea Green. And in my dream scenario, I would have Chelsea Green fight Mia Yim in the finals because those two women are the literal definition of what it means to be workhorses in different ways. And also, like, you cannot knock Chelsea and her personality and how she keeps you entertained no matter what. And then you have Mia, who is just fantastic all around as a wrestler and continues to evolve. So she would be a fantastic United States champion. And if she's going to fight somebody, I would want her to fight Chelsea Green. So yeah, that would be cool. So that's what's going on with that tournament. And I'm not taking any opportunity or not, bashing anyone. But Tiffany over Naomi was interesting. But I am also still interested in figuring out why did Candace interfere the way that she did when it came to Naomi. So, and then of course you have Bianca trying to find out the mystery of who attacked Jade Cargill. And there are some people online who really believe that Naomi was the one who did it. And that would break my heart because hello, big three, why would you attack Jade? But and then there were a lot of people who were saying because of the last promo they had after Bianca's match, that basically is like a call coming from inside the house situation, which proves that Naomi did it. And I'm just like, why? Why would she crash out and destroy her sister like that? Like, it's not that deep. Why? But I don't know. But I just hope we figure it out, and I hope it wasn't Bianca because that would suck. But, you know, I'm just gonna need. I don't necessarily want it to be Naomi, but I am ready for them to figure out who actually did it. So, yeah, Bianca continues to Bel Air in our hearts because Miss Ma'am had some hurt ribs from her War Games match, but proceeded to fight in a match tonight against Piper Niven. And not only did she fight tooth and nail for that victory, she lifted Piper Niven up on her own and gave her a KOD on top of Chelsea Green and won the match. How do we deserve to live in a world with this strong, beautiful woman? Just how? 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 Just how? Bianca just continues to just blow our minds with her tenacity, with her strength, with her prowess, with her everything. And I'm just so grateful. Every time I watch her wrestle, I just feel grateful because she's just so amazing and she's just consistent and just so great. So this is a Bianca Belair stan account. It was so amazing to just watch her perform that well. So big ups to her for that. Randy is saying, I got a strange suspicion it was Naomi for the exact reason you mentioned earlier. No twinning the big one since returning. Oh my God. I don't know. I hope that's not true, Randy. I hope that's not true. But oh God. Us black women got to stick together. But okay. Now, I'm going to need for them to do right by Carmelo Hayes. Okay. Carmelo is my guy. Okay. And to watch him constantly argue with other people like Cody and Nick Aldis because he was the male's first round draft pick in SmackDown, and for him to get treated the way that he's getting treated after losing the United States title match and stuff. I really want Carmelo to have more. I was telling my boyfriend early last, I believe it was last weekend during War Games, that I feel like since him and Braun Breaker have always been neck and neck with each other or parallel to each other when it comes to their careers in NXT and stuff. I low key feel like Braun Breaker has had like multiple opportunities to show all of his strengths, and now he's been IC champion twice. And I feel like Carmelo Hayes, for someone as talented as he is, and for someone as charismatic as he should not be struggling on screen, for opportunities like this. Y'all should not be treating this man like an afterthought. You just shouldn't, because this man has wrestled all kinds of clinics with people, and he's just amazing. So, for the life of me, it just every time I see Braun Breaker make another um accomplishment to put under his belt, I feel like it's almost like he's outpacing Carmelo in terms of opportunity, but not in terms of talent. And it just bothers me. I want Carmelo to have more. And it seems like Nick Aldis wants to basically like surprise him with somebody else because they did mention how they're shaking things up with Raw and NXT because of the Raw on Netflix thing. But I'm gonna need for them to not try to embarrass him and try to humble him because this man says he's him for a reason. And yeah, just stop trying to humble him and actually treat him like the big deal that he is. Don't try to little bro him. Stop it. It's just really annoying. Vaughn saying, "What's up?" Hey, what's up? Thank you for watching. So, yeah, let's stop little broing Carmelo in 2025 and let him be big bro, please. So yeah, Vaughn in the comments saying, unfortunately, this is still about aesthetics. Mellow size is probably still seen as a hindrance. That may be true, but I don't necessarily see that Braun Breaker is really that tall either. So I don't know what the deal is. And this isn't to like crap on anybody or whatever, but because they're so parallel with each other's careers, it's just kind of like I just want Carmelo to have more opportunities. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, those are my feelings about that. Give Carmelo his things. Now, when it comes to the tag division, I low key feel about this outcome the way I felt about Indy Hartwell turning heel with Candice LeRae. That maybe it shouldn't have happened because you had Tommaso Ciampa getting more aggressive with everybody else and then getting aggressive with Johnny Gargano, only for Johnny to join him in his underhanded tactics and hit one of the Motor City Machine Guns in the balls, and then cover him for the 1, 2, 3, and then win the titles while the ref wasn't looking. That was really nuts for me. And I really feel like more of a story would have been told or could have been told if Johnny decided to stay a face in it as opposed to just going along with what Tommaso was saying. Like, if they had split up, it would have been like a situation like it was in NXT, but it would have been like a different chapter or a different way of telling that story, as opposed to just having him just join up with him. Now, I understand that there really aren't that many tag teams um on SmackDown when it comes to that, but I don't know. I just felt a way about it. Like I just felt like it was a situation where maybe there was more that could have been done if you had separated them than by just having Johnny just turn heel. Like, I don't know. But either way, they're the new tag team champions. I'm more than sure if that's the case, and this is how this went, that they were the ones who attacked the Street Profits. And I'm going to need for the Street Profits to get their licks back because they have been getting, underhanded and shafted for far too long now. And I'm tired of them not having their rightful things. So, yeah, this is weird, but it's whatever. Then you had Kevin Owens making Michael Cole come out in the car with him. First of all, how dare you make Michael Cole come out in 20-degree weather to meet you in the car for an interview that you really didn't even want to have? How dare you disrespect the GOAT like that? And you yell at him, you berate him for being friends with Cody Rhodes. And then to make matters worse, you act like you wasn't even gonna come in the building and you drive off after the interview is over. And then you come back and you beat up on Cody Rhodes and attack him after his match with Chad Gable. And you do it while wearing a t-shirt with his daddy on it. Cody Rhodes needs to just destroy him forever. I mean, just destroy him forever because the disrespect is wild coming from KO. It's very wild. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I liked in wrestling this week. And I cannot wait for Saturday night's main event because they're really putting it like a throwback type of thing. And even though I wasn't born during the time of which Saturday night's main event was a thing, I was not born at that time. That was in 1985. I can't wait to sort of experience the throwback of it all, and I really love that they're bringing Jesse the Body Ventura back for commentary because his classic voice when watching Golden Era WWE just takes you somewhere. It gives a vibe, and I like it. So it's gonna be cool. I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited about the fact that they're gonna keep having them. So if that's the case, bring Saturday night's main event to Birmingham, Alabama, please. We need a pay-per-view, WWE. Thank you. So we've reached the end of our time together. If you guys are still watching and it's late, thank you guys so much. And of course, if you want to watch this later, you can watch it on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Hardy Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. And then you can listen to the audio once I post it. If you listen to audio, you can do that on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you get your audio shows. And just continue to support the vibe and follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and on X at Queen Steph Hardy. And you can follow the show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast and on X at Hardy WrestlePod. It's on the bottom of the screen. You can see all the ads there. And of course, continue to support Steph and Cat Talk Wow, the best Wow superheroes post show on the planet. Please listen to it or watch it on our YouTube channels. That's on In Cat We Trust and the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. I had to do an episode this week, so if you missed it, please go back and listen to it. And if you haven't watched any one of our interviews that we did this year with some of the wild superheroes, please go back and watch those. We did a recent one with Goldie Collins, one half of Animal Instinct, so please check those out. And just continue to support us in our vibe. And of course, if you want to book your girl for as a podcast host or a guest or as a writer, color commentator, or panelist, know that you can DM me on social media or email me at hardywrestlingpodcast@gmail.com where we can discuss rates, creative ideas, and such and make stuff happen. 2025 is right around the corner, and your girl wants to continue to share her voice and her experiences in wrestling. So if you want to book your girl, DM me. We can make it happen. And of course, read my articles on Daily DDT, where I write about just about everything in wrestling that I feel passionate about. My most recent article is actually about CM Punk and his top and my top 5 moments for him this year. So please read that as well as read this article right here that's on the screen for the 4 pillars of the future for WWE's women's division. All 4 of the women I put on the list are shining in their own different ways. So please read all of my articles from the beginning all the way up until now. And I'm working on one more while also working on other things too. So hopefully it'll be finished before Christmas, but if not, then it'll be out when it's out. And yeah. That's pretty much it. I think that's all I have in terms of announcements. So yeah, Randy, thank you so much for the compliments and thank you so much for watching. I know it's late, but thank you so much. Um, so yeah, if you guys just continue to support me throughout the rest of next year, then that would be great. And just continue to support whatever it is I have going on as we wrap up 2024, then that'll be great too. So I hope you guys are living your best life and taking care of yourself and knowing that you are unlimited, absolutely unlimited. So, with that in mind, this has been the Hardy Wrestling Podcast with your girl, Stephanie Hardy. And until next time, have an amazing weekend. Bye, y'all.